Do something. Make it your practical experience to practice the principle of caring in your life. Try it once. See what the results look like.
So let the demons go and hype me up. 'Cause motherfucker, I ain't dead till I say so.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man.
I was losing hope in humanity. I had to pull cards. At 2:22 a.m., January 1st, 2022, I was on the beach, Daytona, and I pulled these cards. And this is humanity's hope.
This is a hit. And if you don't know, now
This
you
is
know.
humanity's hope. I love it.
Intermission, never take a break.
I went there with like the best of intentions. And I went there and I wanted to be able to put people into a position so that they can heal. You know, because we have to heal. Like we have to talk to one another. We have to have love. You know?
Here we are. You know, I looked at it like a lot of different ways that I could present this stuff to you guys, and I couldn't really like come up with like the best way that I, you know, like what my mind was telling me, you know, how it had to be presented. But you know, basically, I'm just gonna break it all down to you as best as I can. My interpretation isn't necessarily the interpretation that another may have from the same cards. I always take everything from my own personal experience and apply it to every situation. So the deck that I used was the Rider-Waite tarot cards. And the one that actually designed the cards, the director of the design of the cards, was Arthur Waite. And he was a famous researcher of Freemasonry, Kabbalah, mystical teachings. He was a member of the Order of the Golden Dawn. Okay, if you look into these people, you'll understand, you know, like why this guy was involved with tarot cards and, you know, what he was doing with that. Unfortunately, the word occult has, you know, been misused in our society. I like to go with the original definition of the word occult. I like to go to the root of things. So when you go to the root of words and their meanings, you really, really get a different perspective other than how we've used them in our daily vocabulary. As a society, as a species, we've been changing the definitions of words. You cannot change the definition of a word. It doesn't work that way. It's like, you know, the card that I picked with the sun, right? Like, I'll just use this as an example, right? So you got the sun on there, right? But here's the thing, right? The sun will never not be the sun. It's just sun. The moon will never not be the moon. The earth will never not be the earth. You will never not be you. That's just the way it is. So, like, I'm not going to get, you know, too philosophical here with this. I'm just going to break it down. Okay, so this is like a really good deck. And, it, you know, like the 1500s in Italy is, you know, some of the pictures and origins that were used in the creation of this deck. I don't have any particular dislike of other decks. I just wanted to go with the original, the source for, you know, the best known source for tarot cards. we're looking at, let me see here. Yeah, so it says the tarot card deck of Rider-Waite was created for an easy understanding by ordinary people, far from magic, Kabbalah, and astrology. So, like, if you don't know anything about any of those things, that's fine. You could see these cards and the symbology involved with them and have, like, a deep, higher understanding of, you know, what's being presented to you, which is great. So, like, I want to get into this a little bit, right? So there's, like, a lot of different ways you can lay out cards, right? They got all these different kinds of spreads, right? Self-growth, you know, climb every mountain spread, like, and it, you know, they got all these different perceptions of how to read the cards and, you know, what you can do with the cards and all that, right? So, you know, and some of them are good, some of them aren't so good. I think it always depends on the individual and the situation at hand. But, you know, like, for me personally, I've been carrying my cross. Okay, I've been carrying my cross for years now, with my suffering and, you know, like, my need to heal. Okay, and, you know, like, I have a weapon. It's the truth. I utilize love from my heart. Okay, so the particular spread that I used was the original source spread that this particular deck suggests in their layout, as you've seen in the picture here. I'll put it back up so you can see it. Yeah, so you see this layout. This layout is the cross and the staff. It's Celtic. It goes back. It's called the Celtic cross, right? That's the cross involved. And then if you look, you'll see that there's a much smaller cross involved in the middle. So that's like the origin, and then, like, the surrounding factors, and then, like, the staff is like the journey to get there. You know, like, that's pretty much how it breaks down. But the first card that we pulled was this card here, which is the Four of Pentacles. Now, I'm going to break down all these cards in detail and how they apply to humanity, but I also want to tell you guys a little bit about the cards themselves. So let's just talk about Pentacles for 1 minute here, okay? Because it's kind of important, right? When you're talking about Pentacles, you're talking about the result of creation is what we're talking about. They call them coins, right? And they got these little pentagrams on them. But, like, if you know anything about occultism or symbology, you understand that the pentagram is the symbol which represents creation. Okay, so it's like when the final stroke of the star of the pentagram is created, like you'll see in the circles when people are doing magic or Luciferian rituals, you'll see the pentagram. And then as they lay that final line, that final element, which is consciousness, you know, because you have earth, you have air, you have fire, and you have water. The only thing outside of that is consciousness. So consciousness is where it all comes from, right? Consciousness is the source of all things, and then source is the source of all consciousness. Right? Some people refer to them as God, Allah, whatever. Whatever you ascribe to them, that's fine. Whatever label you paint. I call it source because you can't get around the fact that it's the source. So this particular card is a pentacle, right? And a lot of the cards in this reading are pentacle cards, which is, you know, like, great for the reading for humanity, because we have a lot of stuff going on in this material plane right now, and that's what the coins represent. That's what pentacles represent. The acts of creation. Like, a lot of people refer to this particular card, maybe it has something to do with finances or wealth or money, but I got big news for you, right? Yeah, they're all factors in there, but the real issue isn't financial. It's spiritual. So, like, what's real wealth to someone like me is spirituality. The practice of spirituality. Getting in touch with your inner self, having the dark night of the soul, or doing shadow work and healing and moving forward as an individual, so that you can help us move forward as a species, right? So we're talking about this card, right, which is the Four of Pentacles, right? And, you know, like, they got a little bit of a breakdown here. Let me see. It says, Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles represents the paradox of material security, the double-edged reality that comes when you have been well supported and protected. Yet this prosperity brings the pressure of big decisions and responsibilities. This card urges you to adopt skills to sensibly handle your finances and your environment, and to not be daunted by surprise developments. When this tarot card arises in your reading, it is a message to make sound judgments. Do not waste, but do not cling either. Disconnect your self-worth from your material worth. You may be holding on too tightly, trying desperately to maintain control, and would benefit by losing your attachment to your finances and other material concerns. So you could go look this card up on your own. And, you know, like, the fact that it's reversed, right? Reversed, doesn't take anything away from it, right? Doesn't take anything away from it, except when we're dealing with, you know, like, the lack of self-worth. That's what we're talking about here. That's the state of humanity. That's the first card. It says, the card, the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter is people are not taking into consideration the heart of their matter, which is their self-worth of the matter. Greed, uncontrollable fear of losing property, budget problems, lack of financial security, negligence, extravagance, poor financial management, loss of money, inability to get rid of problems, unsuccessful attempts to shift some of the responsibility to others, which is a lack of communication, which we're going to talk about because that's in the other cards as well. Let's see. Delayed action, obstacles, envy, fear of failure, timidity, suspicion, justifying yourself, selfishness, counter reaction, lack of initiative, unnecessarily waste money, money problems, unbalanced budget, squandering, failure to comply, failed exam, can't get satisfaction, possessive character, right? So there's a few that stand out to me, right? The one that stands out to me is the selfishness one, because that's real important. Like, a lot of people are just, you know, it's all about them. It's about what they can do for themselves. If it's not banging on their front door, they don't want anything to do with it. Like, I'm sure the people in Canada right now, the people in Austria right now, the people in Australia right now, the people in New Zealand right now, right? They really didn't have an interest in getting involved with, you know, world affairs and all the stuff that's going on in the world today, right? But when that shit came banging on their front door, talking about you got to, like, now they're out in the streets, they're blocking things with trucks, they're doing all kinds of stuff, right? Because it's, like, at their front door. Well, I got news for you. This is your front door right now. This is the heart of the matter. The fact that most people are self-centered and greedy, this is the problem with humanity. This is the heart of the matter, right? Quarrels over property, inheritance, right? Let's talk about that for a second, right? You have an inheritance here on this planet. You have an inheritance. You're squandering your inheritance by not utilizing it and sharing it with others. You know, it's not something you hoard and hide from the world. You have to actually share it with others. So, like, I use these words, inheritance. And I use these words upside down. You know, like, look at this guy. Upside down. He's on his crown chakra. He's acting from fear, right, in his heart, right? And the whole materialism is on top of him. So, upright, crown chakra, leading the way. Purity, in the whiteness, in the background. He's acting from his heart. Why does our reality look the way it does? And I'm going to try to keep this simple. Like, I'm going to divert from the reading for 1 second just to give you an explanation. This is part of the hope. This is how we get there. So our reality is actually built upon a collective of all of us together in agreement to things, whether we're consciously in agreement or unconsciously in agreement. What's been going on is these people in the background have had their hands in the mix. They've been denying us knowledge and information about our true heritage, about who we truly are. So the available information is the key to, how we change our reality. So let's talk about the available information up to this point. We've been lied to, and we're going to talk about that. That goes on in the reading. I think it's card number 4 and number 5. All these cards, they play into this. So the available information, it constitutes potential knowledge that may be gathered, processed, understood, and acted upon by individuals. Now, when we're dealing with decision making, right, which is all in the mind, we haven't even actually been in reality yet. This is all in the mind. So the decision making processes take place in the mind and are chosen by each individual based upon the available information. So if you don't know about it, obviously you can't factor that in as part of the reality of decision making. So the human behavior is based upon the quality of the decision making processes, which in turn are based upon the quality of their available information. It always goes back to information, which is source. So the source of all things is information based, right? So we'll go on to this next one. There it is. All right, so we're talking about the 7 Hermetic Principles. This is the inheritance, guys. The principle of mentalism, all is mind, the universe is mental. The principle of correspondence, as above, so below. So, you cannot manifest things in this reality without understanding these things. So, and they've denied us this opportunity. They've kept us in the dark. So they push us around based upon whatever mind control or propaganda they promote to us or propagate to us. And then we're left to deal with the current state of reality as it is. But what I'm saying to you is that these 7 laws, if you get these down and you understand these, you can actually change your reality. And I'm going to give you the 8th law, which was lost. This is hidden knowledge. And then behind this hidden knowledge, there's even more hidden knowledge that was lost along the way. But I'm giving it all to you. These are the keys, the key that's going to set you free, guys. It's the key that's going to set you free. So, mentalism, all is mind. Correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. You have the principle of vibration, and this one's huge. This is the one where all is mind. Rule number 1. Without mind, there is no vibration. All things are in motion. It says that right there. But here's the thing. If you were to not observe something, it wouldn't be in motion. Did you know that? Yeah, science has actually proven that. You can look that up. So there's that, and then there's the principle of polarity. Everything has a dual. Everything has poles. It has its pair of opposites. I wouldn't be able to understand happiness and joy if I hadn't had pain and sorrow, and that applies to all. Different things. Hot, cold, dark, light. I think you get it, right? The principle of rhythm is the pendulum. As it swings and manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is equal to the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm always compensates. So you're going to get the other end of it. The polarity. You're going to always get that other side. And that's also, these 4, 5, and 6 are almost the same thing. Just like 1, 2, and 3 are almost the same thing. Right? 4, 5, and 6 are the principle of cause and effect, which is karma, which is the law of the land. You're not going to commit a harmful act towards another and not have to have that harmful act committed upon you. It just doesn't work that way. And then there's the principle of gender, which is gender is everything. It's in everything. Everything has both a masculine and a feminine principle to it. Gender manifests on all planes. So that being said, you have to explore not only logic and reason and protector and security, but you have to creative and intuitively, caringly, lovingly go there. Does that make sense? So here's the lost one, and this is given to us by my friend Mark Passio. I strongly encourage you to go and watch his seminar for the science of natural law. Very important documentary. It'll break down and explain the things that I'm not fully explaining here in this presentation. But the lost principle, the 8th principle, which he taught me about, which is the dynamic of care. Now, the elites, they have their cremation and care ceremonies. We also have the G with the Freemasons. They have that letter G. Everybody thinks it means God or Grand Architect. No, wrong. This is what it means. What we care about on a day-to-day basis acts as the driving force of our thoughts and actions. Care is the ultimate generator of the quality of our experience. For this reason, care has been called the generative principle by many wisdom traditions. That's the G. The word generative is derived from the Latin verb generare, which means to create. So that's our lost principle in the lost principles, right? And that's what's wrong with our society right now. That's the entirety of what's wrong with our society. So you have man's law, which is these created, based upon constructs of the mind on the given moral relativism of the day, which means we all just agree that it's a good thing, or we all just agree that it's a bad thing. Well, that's not how truth and love and light work. There's natural law. It's either right or it's wrong. And somewhere in the middle there, you're going to meet all of it. So that's your inheritance. We don't have to live in this fear-based, upside down kingdom. We don't have to be there. We could be right here, guys. But here's the thing. So the next card, the Sun card, is going to explain that more in detail. And, anytime you put light on a situation, you have truth. And anytime you have truth, you got to have love. I mean, they all go together. Yeah, so the second card, which is the direct or immediate influence, okay, the situation at hand, always, that I picked, and it was this was my confirmation. Like, when I flipped this card, it was the second card I flipped. When I flipped this card, I knew that the universe was responding and receiving my intentions. Because there's only been one influence in the history of humanity, and that's the sun. Everything we've ever done has revolved around the sun in one form or fashion or another. And then when you speak about esoteric or allegoric, right? It's S-U-N, right? But when you speak on a Christianity level, it's S-O-N, right? But Christianity's not the only one that had sons, okay? Sons are a big thing. Like, Abraham had sons, the pharaohs had sons, kings and presidents, they have sons, prime ministers have sons, so the sun is the major influence, right? It's the one card that out of all the cards in the deck, it has so many different meanings to it. And the best part about it is I'm just going to play this little clip so you guys can get an understanding of what it feels like for me when I flip this card, what it meant to me, because I know all the meanings of the sun, right? And I'm just going to give you this little example here, okay?
All play an integral part in the alchemist studies. The alchemist is familiar with 7 primary metals which are ruled, influenced, or dominated by 7 planetary influences used in alchemical work. They are gold, dominated by the sun, which provides energy and life to everything in the solar system. The sun is our sense of self, our willpower, organizing ability, self-integration, energy levels, vitality, and success. The sun corresponds to the heart, spinal column, vision, and distribution of heat in the body. Silver.
Yeah, so I really couldn't have said it better. He says it so well. But I'm going to talk about the sun a little bit more at the end, right? But just to give you the gist of man, what a beautiful card. Look at that card. It's got the four sunflowers on there, right? You see how beautiful they are, right? One is kind of partially, cloaked in his cloak, you know. It's a child on a white horse, which is kind of interesting because I am like the Revelation of John show, and I do talk about the Revelation of John, and then I flip this card, and here it's this kid riding this white horse, right? Like, you can't get better than that. You can't get better than that. The child represents innocence. The horse, the fact that it's white, represents the vehicle of humanity. Okay, so we're the child on the horse, and we're riding into, actually we're riding away from the sun, but we should be riding towards the sun. You know, that's the problem with a lot of people. They don't acknowledge the light. See, that's the one part of the sun that I am going to talk about real quick. The light. The light is truth. In all sacred texts, all spiritual texts, it says that the light is the truth. And the light and the truth are love. So, like, the immediate influence, it comes from within, it comes from above, it comes from within, above, below, all around, each other. It's love, guys. This is the card of love, right? There's a lot of different ways somebody can interpret those 4 sunflowers. I'm going to say that the 4 sunflowers are the 4 elements, also 4 levels of consciousness, and the 5th being him riding it in. Also, when you have like one stands for singular, right? But then two is duality, right? So there's 2, and then 2 create the 3rd, right? And then the 3rd is, mother, father, son, right? Mother, father, son. You understand that, right? But what is the 4th one? The 4th one is the result of creation. It's like witnessing. It's like the byproduct of creation. And that's what he's got cloaked in his little garment right there. So, like, he's trying to unveil the last sunflower, because it's like it was partially blocked by the cloak or the darkness. Like, I don't think it's any coincidence. I don't think it's any coincidence at all that this card was the second card I pulled. So we're going to go on to the 3rd card. This is the 3rd card, right? This is the 5 of Pentacles reversed. This is a very interesting card to me on a personal level because, as you can see, it's a stained glass window with the 5 pentacles inside of the stained glass window, right? So glass or stained glass or mirrors are a reflection, right? So if you have these 5 pentacles and they're being reflected in the glass, it's something that needs to be worked on the other side of things, right? This card is the 3rd card in the layout, right? The 3rd card in the layout, and this card is for goal or destiny, right? This is where humanity has to go, right? This is where we have to go. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, there's like 2 beggars, they're like homeless, they're outside of the building, they're walking in the snow, like all these issues, right? But let me explain to you what this card is, right? So the goal and destiny of humanity at this point in time, right, is to ascend the 5 levels of consciousness, right? But how do we get there, right? Not only acknowledging it and working with it, right? But how do we get there? We get there by realizing that we are not alone. We are not in this journey alone, okay? We're outside, we're in the cold, we're crippled up, we're starving, we're freezing. This is humanity right now, right? But our goal is the top part of this card, which is white. See that white on the top of the card? That's the goal of humanity right there. That's the goal. To be on that pristine white snow, you know, or the light, you know, white, light, whatever, right? So it says, this card shows two individuals who appear to be trapped outside, lacking life's necessities, blah, 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 right? Oftentimes they're a picture walking past a building with stained glass, which is the card that we're using, right? You see that, right? That's the rider weight card. It says they have no food, no shelter, appear to be weak and unwell. Oftentimes they're a picture walking past a building, right? It has been suggested they are walking past a church cathedral. These buildings are depicted in the suit of Pentacles. But when reversed, the snow on the ground now rests in the sky and this shows brightness, right? And this is where we're trying to go, right? When it's reversed, this is a really awesome card to have. You know, I would break down the 5 levels of consciousness a little bit more, but I'm not going to get into that right now, okay? I'm going to refer you to somebody that can get into that, right? If you have any interest in the 5 levels of consciousness, go and look at my my brother Christian Baker's writings about the 5 levels of consciousness. This guy, like, every day he talks about this with me. You know, and then I flip this card, I come back from my trip, and I put this card in front of him, and I'm like, look, there's the stained glass windows that you constantly keep putting up on Facebook, right? And, like, you know, like, I had to learn some things about some of these cards, but this is the goal and destiny of humanity, right? To realize that we're all suffering, and that the only way to get there is to do it together, and to understand that the elements that we represent here on this in this dimension, on this planet, right, has to be fulfilled. All the things on this planet have to be fulfilled, right? In the spiritual, the metaphysical, whatever you want to call it, realm, other dimension, as well as here, right? Dwayne, the great writer from Eckankar, if you read into his stuff, he talks about the 5 bodies, right? On the etherical plane, and the causal body, and the physical body, and the mental body, you know, and the spiritual body. You have to look into this stuff. Like, this is really interesting stuff. It can get really, really deep. But the bottom line is, it's the goal and destiny of humanity to go together through this suffering to the crispy white, you know, snow. You know? That's real simple, man. It's real simple. The worst will soon be over. It says it right there. The worst will soon be over. Sadly, this card does not imply that these positive changes will be quick. And you may still need to put in some work to get there. But if you have been pushing your way through hell, then it is telling you to simply keep pushing. Right? We talk about this. We talk about pushing through no matter what. Like, getting there. Sometimes it's not necessarily the outcome, but the journey involved to get to the outcome. Right? And we're going to talk about that, because that's one of the cards that's coming up. It's not next, but it's coming up. And we're going to talk about that. But that's the goal and destiny of humanity right there, guys. You know? I don't see anything in particular that I want to point out symbolically, other than the fact that it's the 5 pentacles on stained glass, you know. But it also could represent, you know, like us as a species leaving the confines of religio, you know, the binding of religions, right? Take it back to its root word, religio, right? To rebind, to retie, to hold back, basically, right? So we're outside the church. We're outside of religion. We're outside of the philosophical, you know, standards that society has laid down. Today, that church right there could possibly be a hospital. It could be, you know, some kind of laboratory or science building, because that's the new religion. And you guys got to see this for what it is, you know. But yeah, so together, through the suffering, our goal and destiny is to get to the white on the top. That's a good card. I like that card. That card has, this card has tripped me up the entire time. So this card is the fourth card, right? This card is the distant past. It's the influences that are putting us in the position that we're in today, right? And it's like, this is not a coincidence either. Like, this is a great card for distant past, because it explains lack abuse of generosity, abuse of power or position, gifts with strings attached, subservience, inequality, lack of charity, scams, fake charity, extortion, unemployment, lack of investment, underpaid, undervalued, bad debts, poor financial decisions, greed, meanness, gullibility, kiss ass. It says, in general context, the Six of Pentacles reverse tarot card can represent lack of generosity, meanness, or gifts that have come with strings or conditions attached. Someone in your life, well, everyone, including you in your life, may be showing you generosity, but have ulterior motives, right? So it's like this whole, like, you can't get something for nothing mentality that this society has pushed from the beginning. Like, and this is our beginning religious systems, our beginning government systems, all the different systems that are in place to assist us, you know, that they've lied to us about. They've put these things in place and told us, oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. And, you know, there was always some kind of string attached. There was always something. But I really, really think it's great, the symbology involved with this particular card, right? So, like, if I were to hold it upright, you would see that he's holding these scales of justice in his hand. Man, and wouldn't you want that to be upright? You'd want justice to be like, you know, what this is really all about. Like, justice, right? That's the card, right? Justice, right? But he's holding these scales and he's upside down, right? Justice is not what's going on. It's the exact opposite of justice. At least justice in the senses of natural law, right? So your inheritance is natural law. Your ability to create and manifest is from the laws of natural law, right? But this card, man, like, it's upside down justice. It's just crazy, right? And then you got him, he's feeding the one guy who's wearing, like, the yellow submissive cloak of, like, conformity and, like, I'm going to give you everything, you know, just feed me, right? And then the other guy, right? Why is it so blurry? I don't want it to be blurry. There we go. The other guy right there, that other guy right there, that other guy. Look, I want you to look real close. See, he's got like this pocket sewn into his blue sky, you know, thing that he's wearing, right? And he's got like this little red card sticking out of it, right? In his pocket. He's got this little red card sticking out of his pocket, right? So, like, you know, like, one of the things that if you're into, like, dream interpretations and, you know, symbology, and, like, you know, you see a bird swoop by your car and you, like, let me look into that and see what that owl means, or see what that cardinal on the tree outside chirping means, you know, like, this will probably touch and resonate with you a little bit, right? So that red card, right, linked to our most primitive. Red is the color of physical energy, passion, courage, power, will, and desire. It's the root chakra. It's stable and grounding, right? Physical and emotional needs, survival, and self-preservation. He's putting it in his pocket. Look, he's like putting all that stuff to the side in order to, you know, like, believe in this false system of injustice. You know? And that's the foundation of everything we got going on today. Like, we instantly should be like straightening out problems like this. Like, why aren't we like wrapping up the problems in the world, like homelessness and like, you know, hunger and like, you know, kids that are dying for no reason and like the poisons that they push. Like, why aren't we just like wrapping up these problems? We're not wrapping up these problems because in our back pocket, put away, is our courage, our passion, all of our energy, our power, and our will and desire to do anything about it. That's the history of humanity right there. This is a great card for distant past. Card number 5, recent past events, indicates that which recently came into being. Okay? So like in the short time of humanity's existence, right? Most recently, we've had this this influence going on, right? And the influence is very simple. This is very like when I broke this down and looked at this, I said, man, God, it's so like right on point. It's so right on point. So the Queen of Pentacles, right? Think of a woman who has like a beautiful house with like, you know, like beautiful things and, you know, like all the best of everything, and her children are cared for, and her husband has been secured and provided for by her with her ways and means. You know, now flip that upside down, right? That's the Queen of Pentacles, right? So you have the divine feminine energy of humanity, like locked away, right? We've been suppressing the divine feminine energy of humanity for quite a while now, but you know, it's more recent than anything, because women have really had a major impact and influence on us, right? But this card is so cool, right? Because it has the pentacle in the middle. She's sitting on the throne. She's looking down. She's not very satisfied or happy. You can see that she's not happy, right? Too much focus on what others think and, you know, like becoming conformed to the norms of a pro-masculine society, right? So the divine feminine has been covered up and tossed to the side. It says when the Queen of Pentacles becomes disconnected with the energy of her suit, she can become someone who is completely self-absorbed. Gone is the upright generosity in her suit. She can be selfish and even envious when others' successes seem greater than hers, right? So she's like jealous, right? This is very recent. This is what's been going on. We've become more jealous of each other, more envious of each other, using masculine characteristics to deal with situations instead of the divine feminine, right? We got to try to make that upright, right? But this is recent past. This isn't like, you know, this isn't the current situation. This is the recent past. I mean, it attributes to the current situation, right? So I don't want you to get the wrong idea. Her focus on the material may manifest negatively, making her greedy and yet lacking in her sense of duty and capability, right? So that's real simple, real easy to understand. I really don't think I have to get into that too much to explain it to you guys. I think you guys have a good idea of what that is, right? If you don't know what the divine feminine is, please look it up. The sacred divine feminine is the characteristics of compassion, intuition, creativity, all the things that our educational system stifles right now, right? And that's you know what's been going on recently in our society. Like we've stunted the youth and prevented them from being able to create, right? Have imagination, have creativity, and that's what's been going on, right? We lock away the divine feminine and throw it away. Like that's what they, you know, that's what they did. That's it right there. Okay, so we're going to do like a little recap here. We're just going to get everybody caught up. The first card was the state of humanity, the Four of Pentacles, our selfishness,
how we're acting. Materialism is controlling everything, and we're just acting out of fear, right? So if we had this upright, we would our crown chakra would be shining, and our heart chakra would be the source of what he's clutching, like the source of where all things come from, our heart chakra, right? So then the next card we have is the direct influence, which was the sun, right? When you shine light, love, and truth on a situation, it's going to change it, sometimes dramatically. Then we have this next card here, which is the goal or destiny, right? Which is the 5 levels of consciousness, the 5 bodies, the 5 senses, us moving through all that, understanding that we can't do it alone, we must suffer with others. And then we have our pristine white, which is our end game, right? Next we have distant past, the influences, right? This was the 6 of Pentacles, right? Reversed, charity going awry, government systems, all the social systems, educational systems, everything that's in place, healthcare, all that stuff going awry. Justice is upside down. Our will is in the pocket, right? We're getting ready to pull that out though, guys. You ready? So we understand that the missing element that we're missing is divine feminine, right? We're using too much logic, too much reason, too much masculinity, not enough intuition, not enough creativity, not enough love and care, right? And that's our inner cross and our outer cross, all pentacles, all things of creation that have gotten us, like jammed up, like we're jammed up. Our souls are jammed up, right? But here's the best part, right? And this is the 6, this is this is the 6, card 6, right? So this card, right, is our future influence, right? And this is our choice. This is the choice we have within ourselves, okay? To carry our cross, understand its origins, right? Carry our cross and move on to what needs to be done next, right? So here we are, we're at our 7 of Wands, right? You got to understand that the 6 of Wands, right? The guy had, he had just won, the match. And he was, cheered, and he's the victor, and he has, all the good things. So we understand that we've gotten through all this stuff, and now we're the victor. Is about victory, but it's about more than victory. Even the Bible talks about that. We're more than victorious. What does that mean? Well, this is what it comes down to. We're more than victorious. You got to think about 7 being the 7 chakras, having them in alignment, being on point. You got to think about the 7 days of the week. You got to do this all the time. It's not something that's just going to be a one-time thing and be done. This is going to be constant. We have to carry this cross, and we have to move forward, right? Seizing the day, seizing projects and ideas. The 7 of Wands, right? Upright, strong, valor, determination. It's an action card, guys. Notice stuff is growing off the wand, right? You see on the wand here, right? What's it got? He's got these little, offshoots. And, they're all the different, things that come with, being in a position of, prominence, being in a position of knowledge. Now that you've carried your cross and what you need to work on as an individual, right? Now it's the 7 of Wands. That's our future influence. It stands for creativity, excitement, best course of action, standing up for what you believe in, standing up for what you believe in. Also, trust yourself, make a decision and begin, start, launch, proceed, get in the game, right? What a great card to end our cross on, and these are our this is what we carry. We have to work to move forward from this, guys. So now that we have our cross and we understand what the cross means to us as individuals, and overall what it means to us as a species, and what we need to do for each other, is what this staff is going to be all about.
the funny thing about the staff is the last 4 cards that I flipped were all cups. And the importance of the cup is significant because cups hold the energy of spirit, hold the energy of emotions, your passion, your drive, your intuition, your caring, your love. All these things are held in a cup. So do you ever hear the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup? Well, if your cup's overfilled, overflowing cups, you know, like all these different things, they all come from, you know, like this particular suit, like these little rhymes and sayings we have about cups being filled and overflowing. They all come from this, right? So the first cup card that I flipped was the 2 of Cups, right? And this is our present position, our present attitude, humanity. We're upside down with this, obviously. It's reversed. It's disappointments within yourself, right? Remember, we have our self-worth. We're not happy with ourself, right? But we're communicating with others incorrectly, right? We're emotionally disconnected. We're not using love, right? Because we've been denying our sacred feminine, our divine feminine characteristics as a species. We've been doing that. So now all our trust and issues with each other are affected. So that's our present attitude. We have to change that attitude. We have to understand that we need better communication. We need better companionship with each other. The Queen of Cups is the next card, right? So, and it's upright, which is awesome. There's a lot that's said about this particular card, right? And there's a lot of energy involved with that card. I've watched many videos breaking down the Queen of Cups, and I'm going to keep it real simple because really what we're doing is we're fixing this, the upside down divine feminine, sacred feminine that we're not utilizing. We're fixing that now. We're fixing that, and we're utilizing it as a great source of wealth and energy for us to push through, right? So that card is the environmental factors. So as these relationships and situations that once were a problem for us, right, as they come into play and as they unfold and manifest in our daily activities, now that you have this knowledge, you have to put forth care. You have to put forth the loving energy of oneness, embracing each other. So you have to direct all energies into what you believe, right? Creations, projects. It says visionary, using your intuition, psychic touching the divine, right? Which pretty much is what I was just talking about. So that all makes sense, right? So the third card in the staff is the reversed 3 of Cups, right? So here we are again, right? After applying the divine feminine, right? And acting accordingly, right? In our relationships, we have this next card that comes out, and this is our inner emotions. This card stands for our inner emotions. The hesitancy of us getting to the end, the end game that we're trying for, right? The hesitancy, right, of us getting to our end game, right? Where's our end game, right? Our goal and our destiny together, all of us, right? The obstacle is our inner emotions, right? The 3 of Cups, right? This represents disappointment when it's reversed like this, right? This represents disappointments in groups of people, organizations, societal platforms, healthcare systems, education systems, financial systems, you name it. Our disappointment in it is our inner emotion that we have to tune into ourselves and realize that even though we have had failures
in the past, we cannot let that get in the way of our newly charged divine feminine energy, caring and compassion. We cannot let anything get in the way of this, right? But our inner emotions are affected by our old regimens, our old policies, procedures, attitudes, beliefs, dogmas. All these things of our past are represented in this reversed card, right? So cause and effect. Here we go with natural law again. Natural law is all through these cards. If you haven't seen it, you need to look again, right? So cause and effect, disillusionment, right? We've been lied to, right? And our inner emotions are affected by that, right? Our inner emotions. So polarity has to be worked on. Cause and effect, like understanding that, like even though we have disappointments from these previous systems that are in place, currently, even though we have these disappointments, we have to understand that that's normal for us to have like a little bit of hesitation or resentment, right? That's normal. We're supposed to have these feelings, guys. We're supposed to, look at everything, with a fine-tooth comb, so to speak, because we don't want a repeat of this, right? We don't want a repeat of this, right? So here we are. Acceptance must occur, not just for yourself. You have to accept your responsibility and your role in why humanity has this as its cross, why the staff that we're building has to have these cards in it. You have to take responsibility for your role, right? And then you have to work on your relationships. You have to give a shit. You have to put the divine feminine in there. You have to help each other, right? So that's the three of cups reversed. Rally the troops, sense of community. 3 is a crowd. All those kind of sayings that go with that, right? So the last card, and this is the final card, is card number 10, right? This is the 4 of cups, and it's upright. This is the card for the final result, indicates the likely culmination and result provided events and influences continue as indicated, right? So this card, for us to end on this card, this note, is like so hopeful for all of us. This is a beautiful card to end as a final result, right? Because once we get through all this stuff, right, and we're working on our staff, right, the end result, right? Look at this guy. He's sitting under a tree, right? He's in contemplation. He's in meditation. There's a lot of different scenarios that they gave for what this card means. But I'm going to tell you what it means in this reading. It means that through the inner journey of healing self, right, you'll have the rewards of the groups, right? The groups working together correctly, right? To correct all the negative things that have occurred, right? This is going to be the end result. Our gift from, through correspondence, our gift from the other side is going to elevate us. This was not easy to do, guys. There's been a lot of different avenues I could have taken with, how to lay these cards down and how to explain them and the different, props and, displays I could have put up and, all these different things that I'm involved with, like with the computers and, whiteboards and, I could have put in a lot of video clips of what other people said, all these different things. But like I said in the beginning, my disclaimer was that someone else may get a different reading from these cards, the same exact cards. But I have this thing going on. It's my practical experience. My practical experience shows that nothing ensures my personal redemption, my personal salvation that I've created for myself. Nothing ensures that more than intensive work and caring and love of others, right? So I try to walk around like this with everybody I meet, right? And I'm defending my cause. I'm defending my position, always, you know. And this is my immediate influence. Always has been, always will be. SUNSON. I don't care how you spell it, right? But I'm working to flip this upside down on an individual level. I can only hope and pray that you guys are able to understand and get something from this reading. It's been a lot of fun doing it. You know, like as we journey through, as we understand and work with others, we have to remember that we are not alone. We are not alone. You know, I'm grateful for all the people in my life today. I'm grateful that they've helped me as much as they have. I'm grateful that you guys stuck around and watched this presentation. Thanks.
Power on.